Welcome to the My Way podcast with Andrew Jones. This is where entrepreneurs share their way of running a business. We'll discuss what habits and strategy are required to scale a successful business. Alex, welcome to the My Way podcast. Thank you for coming along. I just want to start off with, if you could give the listeners an introduction into the different businesses you run and a little bit about your journey so far.
So, I don't know how to cut this short, but okay, so basically, my name's Alecs Donovan. I own a company called YBL. So YBL has two kind of parts of it. One is, so I teach online yoga, and the second part is this clothing brand. And then I've actually recently started a new company as well with my friend Lucy, which is called Slow Sundays. So that's kind of the work side of it. I guess personally, how I kind of got into it was actually through injury. I used to play a lot of rugby, and then I got injured playing rugby, and the consultants recommended something called yoga to me, and at the time I was like, no way. I was like,
Really?
It sounds. It was just like, especially at the time, it was going back 8-9 years. So I think at the time it just wasn't really what it is now. And I just remember thinking, I'm not into that spiritual stuff. I just don't really want to go. Blah blah blah. And they said, basically, where the Achilles ruptured, it came off the calf muscle, so they couldn't operate it back on. Ooh. So it's kind of held together with scar tissue. So how it kind of healed. Yeah. They didn't really know how it was going to heal. So when I was in this moon boot for 9 months, and I just used to do a bit of yoga. But I honestly, at the start, I was thinking, I can't do this for long. And then and then from that, I think the benefits of it outweighed how much I enjoyed it. Mm. And I was thinking, there must be some sort of method that I can keep going. When I went back playing, I was like, surely there's some sort of method that has that physical side without the spiritual side, because I just was not into it at the time. Yeah,
because that's the connotation you get with yoga. Yeah. You think about sort of the mindfulness side of it. And
which I love now and I appreciate it now, but I must have just been maybe even a bit too young or something. I don't know.
You were maybe open to it.
Yeah, and I think it was just this kind of the stereotype of it as well. I just thought I just don't really I don't fit into that, I guess. And then so I remember Googling stuff like yoga for athletes or non-spiritual side of yoga, non-Zen, and there was nothing. And I was like, maybe I should just start my own method. And I was a medical rep at the time, and I remember telling my dad, I'm going to start something called yoga. And he'd honestly pulled so many strings to me getting a medical rep job. And he was like, what the hell is yoga?
Yeah. So you were in employment. How did you find that? Because you strike me as someone that, for being totally honest, was always meant to be self-employed.
Yeah.
How was that first stint in employment?
I think it was really interesting. It was weird because classic, did sport and PE in uni. Yeah. Unless you're going to be a PE teacher, I don't really, or sport analysis, then it doesn't really help much. But I just remember whatever my sister did, I was like, I'll just follow that because I knew, she could help me. I had my coursework or whatever it was. Employment was weird because I was always like, is this what people do? I just go to work, and I just remember thinking, I always used to just dread it. I used to be in the car thinking, gosh, I don't want to go to these meetings. I really felt out of my depth as well. I was young going into medical repping and feel like it's a male-dominant industry, so I just felt I think I was really lucky in school, actually, because the school I was in, the girls and the boys got treated so equally. It really misled me into, then when I went into employment, and I was like, it was just really different how girls are treated then, and I just really struggled with it. I just almost felt trapped in that job. Yeah,
and if you're dreading going in and doing something, you've got to do that day in, day out. That's when you're like, I need to make a change.
But it wasn't even that. It wasn't that it was that particular job. I think any job I would have, if I had to work for someone else, I felt the same. So any job leading up to that as well, I just saw it for money. I was like, right, I need it for money.
So what attracted you to entrepreneurship then? When you looked at the potential of having your own business, what was it that thought, I want to do that?
It wasn't even it was the idea of this yoga method. Yeah. So it wasn't actually the self-employment part. Right. I didn't even consider that.
It was just pursuing that, and you know there's going to be a need for it.
Yeah, and I was like, maybe I could actually get money from this.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even about the money. And my dad always worked his way up so he worked for Barclays, worked his way up. Like my mum was a teacher, so very safe jobs.
Yeah.
So I don't even think I knew anyone that was self-employed really. So it wasn't even on my radar.
Took the leap, yeah.
Well, I just didn't even, it was almost like, oh, this is actually I'm interested in this now. This is where I want to spend my time. And it was like, where do you want to spend your time?
I think if you're interested in something and you're passionate about it, that's half of it.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel for you then like it's work sometimes.
No.
And it's just so much easier. Was there anything I want to go back to? You said about your playing days and rugby. Was there anything that you learned from international rugby that was transferable into running a business, like the skills, the mindset?
I think how different people are. That was really. I think that's probably one of the key things I've taken from rugby is. Everyone is so different. They react to things so differently. How you motivate people are really different. And I think it was what unite you as a rugby team is that you're on the same team and as well. Really interesting that you have to support someone that's in direct competition with you. So like, if the other centre's in training,
yeah,
or they get selected over you or whatever, it was that kind of, okay, I still want them to win. And it was that kind of understanding of like, oh, actually, we can, no matter our differences, we can work together and build something together. So it was. I think it really taught me a lot about people rather than, and the discipline that comes with it, teamwork, all of that. But that was what I think I didn't realize it taught me until coming out of rugby was. Like I just understand people really well, and I think it did help.
Working as part of a team, what drives people, what motivates one person might not motivate another. And I suppose a big thing that I love about sport as well is it's about meritocracy. So like usually what you sort of put into it, I'm sure, is what you get out. And I look at that with business as well, is you ultimately have to take responsibility for where you are. Yeah. If you're not being picked, then you've got to work harder and you've got to improve, I suppose. And I look at that for business too.
So, and it's definitely true with self-employment, but then my entire brand or the yoga side of it, it's the opposite. So the harder you push to get into a stretch, it has the opposite effect, like your body fights back.
Right,
so you have to let go, which is really different, to rugby. And as well, with your best, I've always found so one of my first ever game, I think, with Wales, and I got player of the match, and then you're buzzing, aren't you? I should have probably quit then. But you're buzzing. Next day, it was like, oh, this is where you could have improved. So it was never quite good enough. And then with a brand, and I never even knew that it kind of, this is what I promote. But I'm like, you got 40% today. That's good. That's enough. Like everything is enough. Like whatever you do is enough. And I don't think it is directly because of analysis every week. You're like, okay, this is where you've gone wrong. Here's a clip of what you've done wrong, or like you missed this tackle. I
think a lot of business owners struggle with that side of things, though, because there's always more that you could be doing. It's like, when is enough, and when, like, can you actually recognise the positives? Yeah. Because so many people, and it's because that's what drives actually a lot of good entrepreneurs is a feeling for more and improvement. Yeah. So they're not even looking. They've done 5 things amazingly well over here, but they've done one thing not so well, and they're focusing on that one thing. Yeah,
and it's really hard because I think it's quite it's a human kind of trait, isn't it? Yeah. That you know what it's like. You finish a game, you could have done everything perfectly, and you drop one ball, and you think, oh, I dropped that ball. And it's weird, but it is the same with self-employment. You can have 100 emails of why your brand is brilliant, and you have like 1 or 2 that people are like, I don't like it, and you're like, why? Yeah. That is what you focus on. Same compliment versus insults. Like you remember the insults, you don't remember compliments.
That negativity bias towards things.
But I think it's heightened in self-employment because one, if someone insults like the company you work for, you don't really get to know your company. No. But also with self-employment, you're in charge. Like your mentality has a massive impact on the success of your brand.
Yeah, and I was speaking to someone about this the other day around you personally identify with the business. So someone could criticise one certain element of it, and you then feel like they're actually criticising you.
Oh, yeah.
So it's being able to like detach yourself from Alecs Donovan to YBL or Andrew Jones to Age Entrepreneur Coaching.
I'm so bad at that. Because I was saying like before this, isn't it? I was like, I can get an email, and I think people think they're emailing a corporate, which is they obviously think it's maybe bigger than it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do they realise I'm receiving this email? And even if it isn't, so my members and a lot of my customers always laugh because I put loads of kisses at the end of my emails, like no matter who it is, because I'm like, I just want that friendly, like it's like, you know, if I was to message, well, I message you.
You don't want it to be corporate or too professional or okay.
But then they can sometimes. But then I think when you get the email that's really quite professional, probably just professional, and I'm like, oh my God, it's so rude. But I think it is. It's trying to see it. Yeah, it's really.
I feel like you
really
have to be a bit of a chameleon then, though. I don't know. Like if I have clients that are extremely corporate and have come from a corporate background, to like a client that I that's always been in entrepreneurship and is a straight talker, I do probably tailor or tweak my approach, whether that's right or wrong.
No, it is good. I think it's one of the. I think one of the best things you could do if you're self-employed is be really flexible. Even to change. So I think a lot of people struggle, and I guess it's the same when you're getting like your brand's getting criticised, like just kind of, you know, it's like you almost want to follow. You're always gonna find people that don't like your brand. You're always gonna find people that will like your brand. And I think what I did really well early on was just focus on these.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter about these.
Yeah.
And people are like, you know, chasing followers, say, on Instagram. It doesn't actually matter unless they're buying into your brand.
100%.
Like, you can get like 100 followers and they could be the most supportive, the most loyal customers. I would take that over 100,000 followers who don't even care about your brand any day of the week. And I think it's always trying to focus on the people that do actually support you.
I think that holds so many people back, though, because, again, going back to that negativity bias, you could put someone out on social media and you get loads of people that are liking it, and you get like one or two people that disagree with what you're doing. And then the next time you go to do that, you second guess yourself. But you're forgetting that there's loads of people that actually love what you do and what you offer.
Yeah.
But you always go back to those couple of people. You've built an amazing community from what I can see with YBL. Like when I've got you on socials and you turn up as your honest self, but I think like your community loves that and they resonate with it. What would your advice be to business owners that are looking to build that online presence and build a community around what they're doing?
I think it's like there's a few things, and one of them is really authenticity, and that's what's really connected me with, I think, my members, is the fact that I do turn up as myself. So whether that and like I was saying, that then you're gonna automatically cut people off who don't like you, don't believe in what you're doing, which is fine. But what I've done really well is I always focus on those. But my members really call me out on this. So I remember there was one time where I was focused on growth. Okay. I was like, I'm going to grow the brand. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to grow. I'm going to start like being like all savvy. And then she said, "Oh, what's wrong with us?" And in that moment, I was like, yeah, that's what I need to do. I need to focus actually on what can I do better for my members. That will grow in itself. They'll then be like, "Oh, I do this thing," and it was that moment that I was like, so really early on, because all of my members were probably my friends early on, I would be like, "Oh, what do you guys think about this?" So rather than trying to sit in a boardroom or ask like
detached from them.
I'm like, what do you guys think? So like with the clothes, even now, like I think it was last week, I've got a couple of new designs come in, and I'm like, "Oh, do you guys like this?" And some are like, "Oh yeah," and someone would even be like, "Oh, why didn't you try this? Why didn't you do this?" And it's so personal to them that I'm like, I'm creating this for them.
You're so right. Like being able to be like really close to your customer, understand what they want and focus on them, it kind of takes care of your business development and sales. I think so many people go on, they get caught in a bit of a vicious loop of trying to market themselves all of the time and generate more leads because they've got so much churn of people just going out through the door because they don't actually like what they've got. Yeah. And it's like you're in a really sticky situation then. Whereas if you just focus on the product, everything else will fall into place.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think if you focus on growth over actually what you're doing and what you're selling, and because I live and breathe what I actually sell, it's quite an easy sale for me where I'm like, this is actually what I do day to day. Like I do 10 minutes of yoga, I wear the clothes, and because of that, like I'm not faking it. No. And it was like, I think Phil Knight, you know, the owner of Nike, he always wears Nike shoes because it's like, but it's that kind of thing of you know, if you really believe in your product, yeah, it kind of sells itself. And then there's a couple of things really early on though with you almost get scared of someone's going to copy you or take something away from you. And my friend said to me, oh, you know, you can give them the recipe, but they'll still burn the cake because they're not you. Like, and that is the entire thing, that you're so unique. So trying to copy other things, trying to chase growth, I don't know, I started trying to market my business. I have no idea what that... So I was like, okay, actually, I'm just going to speak... Yeah, just be you and focus on your product and focus on what you've already got, because that will help you grow it. Yeah. Not these people
not
that don't know
other
you.
Things,
yeah. And especially because they already want you to succeed and they believe in what you're doing. Then when you have your self-doubt days, those are the people that'll help as well.
Yeah, and they're the people shouting about what you're doing to potential customers, and then the advocates of what you offer. I think it raises like some really good points, but like that knowing your... I remember someone saying to me before, I joined... I was a coach on NOW's Accelerator program. One of the first things someone said to me was like, build your tribe. Yeah. And like, that's how I see it. If you try and sell to everyone, you sell to no one. And I think being able to niche down a little bit and find the you people is really, really important.
It is. But I think what I misunderstood early on was I thought your tribe had to be a demographic of, okay, only women 30 years of age. And it's not. It's a mentality. It is a mentality that they've got. And you can describe your audience in a way of like, you know, people that like a lot of my stuff is like funny stuff. Like, so they've got a good sense of humor. That rather than, okay, they're all women, and I remember saying to someone, oh, it just doesn't really fit. Like, I don't really understand that of like finding your audience. And then I thought, actually, I think I'm looking at the audience part the wrong way. Yeah. It's not necessarily a certain type of person. Yeah. But it's like a mentality that they all have that's linked.
What is that mentality?
What, with YBL?
Yeah, like what's the theme between...
I would say it's more like a lifestyle-based brand where they don't really take themselves too seriously. So even when they do yoga, like most of my members hate yoga.
It's painful, like, that's fine.
Yeah, which is fine, and I can take it. Like, I'm like, I don't care, it's still good for you. Yeah. So it's like, I don't care that you don't like it and invent it. But, and they're very funny, and like, but more that they know their life is now. They're trying to make the most of now, because that's what I promote. And as well, I think the 10-minute method was always because I struggled fitting into the yoga kind of world. And I was like, oh, you can do yoga in 10 minutes? Yeah. You can do it in your house in your pajamas, just do it like 10 minutes a day. And it doesn't have to be as serious as, again, that like lighthearted. And as well, I think just really remembering about the little things in life. So like a lot of it is about, you know, okay, 10 minutes of yoga so it doesn't take up your entire evening or morning. But then you have more time to spend with your friends, having a glass of wine with your mates.
Like, so it's about balance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What we talked a little bit about like the online business and building a community, but there's plenty of positives to online business and be able to create that community. But there's also some drawbacks to online business where it can just be completely overwhelming and take over your whole life. How do you find balance in running the businesses?
I think I'm definitely better at it now. But I have been through my ups and downs of like, it was almost a cycle of like, okay, motivation, busy, burnout. Motivation, busy, burnout. And I was like, right, I can't keep doing this. Yeah. But it was isolation, I think, is one thing recently that I've really found, which is interesting because I have such a strong community, but it's online. So you do have that really nice, and they are like brilliant people, but I never see them. So that was really different going from teaching in person to that. So it was that kind of, like, I could work, you know, I go to the gym and I see my friends, but if I didn't do that, I would literally be on my own all the time. But, well, in work. So that is one thing I struggled with. And as well, realising that you've always got stuff to do. Yeah. That was one thing I was like, right, I just need to do this, and then I can chill. Done. Next day, you're like, oh, okay, I need to do this. And as well, I just thought, right, why have I done this? Why am I doing this? I want a lifestyle that I really like. I just need to chill out a bit more.
Yeah.
And as well, being really adaptable to change. It took me a while to be adaptable to change.
That's something that a lot of people struggle with is being ambitious, but also knowing when enough's enough.
Yeah.
Like, because you want to achieve so much and you know that you could be doing more. But when you say, well, hang on, I've got a life I want to be living here as well.
Yeah, so I think I'm quite lucky I'm not really money driven, because I think if I was money driven, it does change your view on self-employment. Well, and then I think, would you go into self-employment if you're money driven? I don't know, because it's, the risk reward kind of thing. It is, you have to catch yourself, because you can work and it's like you can work every hour of the day, every day. And then I again was like, but again, my friends and my family and like Ollie would really be like, Al, you're working all the time now. What do you do? Like, this isn't what you want to do.
Have a bit of balance.
And do you know what? When I worked all the time, when I was striving for growth, when I was like really focused on this, I didn't even grow my business.
It's a misconception. I think a lot of people think the more that they do, the more results they're going to get.
Yeah, it's like a busy fool, isn't it?
Yeah, but really, there's a few things that you could be doing in your business that generate genuine results.
Yeah.
And you don't need to be glued to a laptop day in, day out.
No.
I think a lot, you're going back to the burnout piece and you maybe felt a little bit isolated. I really do think people thrive off being around people and that energy.
Yeah.
And I think if you're just sat in front of a laptop, I don't think working from home is a good thing.
No,
I don't.
No.
Like for people that are in corporates, I think it's convenient and it's comfortable, but it's not good for you in the long term.
No.
So I think that is important, being around people.
Yeah, and even the difference between, so like my sister works for me sometimes and my friend, and even the difference, if I have an idea, right, of a design, I'll be like sat there thinking, right, is this good? I don't even know if this is good or not before I even want to show my members. And then it could be the difference of me saying to like Nick or Beck, and I'm like, oh, guys, what do you think of this? And that, even if they are like, oh, it's rubbish, even that slight interaction of like, even if they said it was rubbish, I was like, no, I think this is really good.
Yeah.
I'm more assertive and I'm more sure, because I've always spoken like, you can get so many thoughts. If I talk to someone about it, it almost comes out, I've already got the answer when I'm talking. Yeah,
you get a chance to be able to reflect and you get outside perspective. That's why I actually have a coach myself as well.
Oh, do you?
So people are like, well, that's really like, maybe the people that like aren't in business don't get it, but why have you got a coach if you're then coaching other people? Well, it's because I know the power of coaching because I've had it myself.
Yeah.
So I know by me being able to bounce off someone, get a second opinion, I make a more informed decision. So you have to have those people around you that you can speak to and bounce off. Otherwise, I think when you are isolated, it completely slows down your progress.
Yeah.
Because you procrastinate, you second guess, you don't take action.
Yeah.
And what you could have done in, say, 3 months by having people off you to bounce off and to be innovative, it now takes you a year.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it as well is like, there is so much to do. If you've got a brain like mine, and I think a lot of people that are self-employed are quite creative people, and I am creative, but it's carnage. It's like not, like my sister's the opposite then, where she has got a spreadsheet on a spreadsheet. Like she
complementary skills then, so it really, that helps you so much.
Yeah, whereas I think it's so boring, and she loves it. She loves just sitting there on a spreadsheet.
I talk about this quite a lot though, like I was saying about the school system makes you think that you need to be good at everything. So you could be leaning towards, you love psychology or physical education or business, but you got one grade which is a little bit lower that they then make you focus on more to get that up. Business is completely different, isn't it? You just basically, the more you do of the stuff that you enjoy and that you're good at, the better the business does. Instead of you, if say for example your sister wasn't there, you'd then get pulled into areas of the business that would be a drain.
But I did listen to a podcast before, and this guy was saying, people. So say like my example, he'd be like, I'm using being not organised as an excuse. You could become more organised, or you could, with marketing, or if you're not very good at marketing, you could become. And then I thought, right, I could. And I spent so much time trying to be organised. I was like, I'm wasting my own time.
It's a trade-off.
Yeah.
I was like,
I'd rather have help to someone that, and Nick loves that. She loves that. So I was like, because I said to her when she started working for me, and especially she's like my older sister, so it was that dynamic was quite hard. And I said, look, I've only got really, really rubbish stuff to give you. And she said, I love this. And she would hate to do what I do.
A lot better.
Yeah. So it is, I definitely fell into the trap as well of thinking I needed to do everything. And with marketing though, like, I still don't really get it. I still don't. If someone says to me, "Oh, how did you build I don't really know. I think, going back to like the adaptability to change.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I think I am good at because I don't have a plan.
So because there's no plan, you're happy to bounce around and
Oh, this seems to work at the moment. Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, but
this
it has worked.
Yeah.
But in an online, like, I think there's a bit of a misconception when people think about long-term goals and you stick to this plan for the long term and it'll work. It doesn't, because things change all of the time.
Yeah.
You have got to be quite good at being able to adapt to those situations.
Yeah, but bearing in mind with the online yoga, I started it in lockdown, so everyone was at home.
Yeah.
So all the classes were at least half an hour, and then I think because everyone had loads of time, everyone went back to work, and then one of my members messaged me and he said, "Oh, Al, any chance you can do like a 10-minute class? I can't fit in."
Yeah.
And for me, I felt like, oh, how can I charge people to do a 10-minute class? I should be giving them more. I should be giving them an hour class because they're paying for my time. And he was like, "I will never do an hour class." He's like, "There's no chance." So then I said to my members, I've got this like little section of 10-minute classes. No one even touched I do like one half-hour class a week now. No one touched the other stuff because they said, "Oh, I can actually do more." So it was, again, my member who felt open enough with me to ask me. Yeah, whereas I think if I was too removed from the brand, or like I had this quite corporate, I don't think he would ever message. You'd just be like, "I haven't got time.
Can I give you some feedback?"
Yeah.
It's far too
You would have just cancelled his membership and thought, "I don't have time." But he was okay to ask me, can you do a 10-minute class for me?
I would go back to that, but like another business that I've worked with saw a huge spike in sales by just speaking to their existing customers.
Really?
Sent out a massive feedback survey, got 100 odd responses, came back and were like, "Wow, there's really common themes and patterns to this. We need to build a business around it." And they did that, and guess what? It's working. So,
but what would you? It's really good, but I think sometimes as well, when I get feedback, obviously I only read the negative ones because I'm like, there's only ever one or two. So the positive ones are always like, keep doing what you're doing, and then the negative ones sometimes. Say someone was like, "Oh, can you do an hour and a half class?" No.
Oh,
I don't want
agree.
to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As in, like,
but
it still has to be.
If 9 out of 10 people were asking
that, still no.
Would you still do no?
No, it would, but it's like, it's just, you have to. And okay, so with the clothes, the caveat of what I was saying is, if I said, "Oh, what do you guys think of this design?" and a poll, love it, hate it. If it's 50-50, go with your gut.
Yeah. Would you go for it? Or would you?
If I liked it, yeah.
Right. Okay.
If I really liked it, I would wear it.
Yeah. Well, you're going to be bought into it then, and if you like it, you're going to be pushing it and driving it forward.
Yeah.
Within the business, how do you said about like you'd get busy, you burn out. So you do more work, get busy, burn out. What like tools or techniques do you have to put in place now so you don't burn out?
So really pulling back on. Saying yes to things, which was I didn't even realise that was causing me to burn out, I think. But at the moment, I'm in a really lucky position where I teach, I do the clothes. If I don't do as many drops as I used to, so I do less drops, which does mean less money, but it means less stress. It's kind of like the toss up. But I think as well, I just have to, I'm always like, okay, what would I tell my members? Like, what would I actually say to someone that was too busy?
Yeah.
And I think I got to the point where, like, I just was not present. So I could be sat at home with All Right, and he'd talking to me, and I'm like, I need to go and do this email that I've been waiting to do all day. And it's 7 o'clock, and he obviously has just come home from work. And then I'm like, I'm just sat there thinking I want to go. And I was thinking, that can't... And I don't want to work, but I felt like I had to.
It's being able to channel that, I think, is the most important thing. I'm pretty much exactly the same, where I'll be at home and I'm not present.
Yeah.
And usually it's because I haven't actually run the day how I know I can run it.
Yeah.
And there's stuff that's left over, and then I'm frustrated, and then it's a bit of a vicious circle with it. But it's like what I was saying to you earlier, when like your habits are channeled, and everything's working well, you can probably get through shed loads of work.
Oh, loads. And I think another thing is, so I'd like do my own content on social media, as you can tell, because I like mirror selfies. But if I put my phone on a time lapse to film me doing anything, I'm so much more productive if my phone's away.
Yeah.
But I'm all right with it putting it away if it's on time lapse because it's content for me. So I kind of tricked myself in that way as well of being like, okay, well, I'm not on my phone, because you can get a message through. And even with the email though, I had to test myself quite a lot. If I had an email through that I was like, oh, I should reply now and it's 8 p.m, I had to like literally say, leave it and see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just because I was so used to replying. And bearing in mind, everyone would be like, oh, I did not expect you to reply at 10 p.m.
I know.
But I just would do it. And then I thought, right, I'll just do it in the morning when I'm in work.
I genuinely see it being a major, major problem for a lot of people is mobile phones.
Yeah.
Of whether they're going to be successful or perform well in their given professional job, down to their mobile phone usage.
Yeah.
And do you know what? I don't actually blame them. I blame how addictive they are. And I have to put things in place so that I don't go on it as much. Because being on my mobile phone for me, I don't know why, but it just numbs me. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
But I find it, like, it's all your interests. Bloody hell, golf videos popping up, business stuff, and I'm like, funny stuff. But I have a thing called Opal on my phone now, and it blocks all the apps for certain time periods. So I can't go on them.
But I think I'm in a kind of a catch-22 where most of my interaction comes from Instagram.
Yeah, you can turn it off.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And like you're saying, I could go on it half an hour in the day. I don't need to be, and because I don't have that scheduled time, I think you're just almost constantly on it throughout the day.
I think a lot of people feel like this, but we feel like we're always on.
Yeah.
And like you're of a generation, like my generation, where you could go back to like your teenage years where you'd actually spend so much of your time outdoors.
Yeah.
And like not have a mobile phone with you. So I think we've moved so far from where we were. People don't actually remember what it's like to feel normal and chilled.
Yeah, but I think you have to almost train yourself to do it. So one of my friends, he's an online PT, and he's skiing this week, and he's just deleted Instagram.
Love
and
that.
It was just, and I was like, oh, this is amazing for him.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to do it. And he's like, it's class.
Yeah.
Because before now, he would have, been posting his ski trip, and he will probably post about it when he gets back. But he's like, I can do it when I get back if I want to. And it is that kind of, but it's sad that you almost have to train yourself not to go on your phone as much as you naturally almost want to, or it's a habit now if you just go.
We've got like so much more opportunities in life, but we're not actually probably living those opportunities.
No.
Like if someone went travelling, for example, like I went travelling years ago, and like people are so glued to their phones while they're away and they're travelling. I'm like, this is the time in your life where you're actually supposed to be getting a little bit of perspective and figuring out what you want to do in life, but you're actually just trying to capture the next bit of content to show that you're travelling.
That's the thing. And the content, like I hate content days.
Yeah,
like I can't do them because I can't fake a scenario. So I don't like scheduling one day for content because an hour in and I'm done. I just don't want to do. I don't want to fake doing yoga in my house and stuff. Which then the content probably that I post is organic, but it's not like polished. It's just my life.
But does polish work?
Oh,
I don't think it does sometimes.
I don't know.
I generally think if it's authentic and it's consistent, it works.
Yeah.
I come up against this with like trying to make the way that you look like the content game now and making sure that everything's aesthetically pleasing. Like,
I know.
Does it actually matter? People are blown up. Like, did you see that Cayenne Fit? The guy who, I think he lives in the valley somewhere. He got to like 500,000 followers, just putting a video of him up like in the naughty corner on the assault bike. And I was like, it's because it's raw and it's real that people can associate with it.
So, like, it used to be like when you had a polished video, it was like, oh, that was almost the minority, and now it's flipped.
They don't know that. Yeah, people really want to know who you are as a person, and they want that. Yeah, they want to see themselves in you, I think.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think they need some sort of, like I guess they want to know you, but that is quite hard. My dad actually said to me last night, he's like, I find it bizarre that you open yourself up on social media that way. But I don't really see
thanks,
it.
Dad.
And I don't see it in a bad way. Like, he's saying, like, you could get really negative. But I don't really, like, I'm not like a harmful person. Like, I'm quite self-assured. Like,
it's the world we live in now, though.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to if you want to be successful and you want to run an online business, you have to put yourself out there.
Yeah, and that's and I think that's what's hard for people as well, because if you don't want like that side, and I don't really overthink it. I don't think I wouldn't say I love that side. And it really depends on my mood, to be honest. But now, if I'm struggling, so if I feel like going on social media today would make me feel anxious, I come off it that day. And I'm all right to do that now. Last year I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I would
you've got that
keep going
control with it.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'll just go on it tomorrow. I'll post that post tomorrow if I want to post it.
Yeah.
And because I've never done anything on it for likes or new followers, I do it more to stay present. This is the only way I get leads for my business. I don't do anything else. I only do Instagram. So I know how important it is, and what it's given me my brand. So I think it's got such like positives.
Yeah.
But if I do feel negative towards it, I'm okay to take a day off. Or like
I think it's great that you can do that.
Yeah.
But I think so many other people struggle with that. I think detaching away from it is really, really difficult. But yeah, I think it's the pros and cons of entrepreneurship. You can't have kind of cake and eat it. But
it's interesting what you said at the start. Like, I do think I was like born to be not like self-employed. I don't think there would be any other job that I would.
So many of my clients are literally unemployable.
Yeah,
genuinely, because they love the ability to make decisions and see impact quickly. They love the creativity of it. They look the variety that they get day to day. So I think their risk appetite's quite high. They don't take life sometimes too seriously.
Do you think you need to be like a massive risk taker to be self-employed? Or have you met people that aren't risk takers and still self-employed?
I think you do need to. You need to have some form of it. Otherwise, I think the stress gets to you.
Yeah.
I think that prolonged period of time where you're under the cosh, where there are times in business where it is that, whether that's in the early days or you're trying to do a bit of an expansion plan and you're investing into the company, some people can't be in that situation for a long period of time. Whereas others, that like a couple of my clients spring to mind, God, they're just resilient.
Really?
Like what would really challenge someone else, it's more off a duck's back.
Yeah.
And do you know what it is? I think something happens in their life somewhere where they view the business going bust as not a big problem. Maybe they've lost a loved one or something like that, where that really gives you perspective on what hardship really is. Your business struggling to a degree. Yes, it's not nice, it's not uncomfortable, but you hopefully have still got some family around you.
Yeah, and I think I think it says a lot, because I think people that are self-employed do it for more of a lifestyle choice, which really links in with what you're saying with, you know, they see life as now and a full thing, not, you know, evenings and weekends kind of thing.
I think most people do it as a lifestyle choice.
Yeah, but it takes over your life.
But I think at some point you have to make a decision. Because I there's what's it called? It's called hedonic. There's like a theory called hedonic, where basically your levels of expectations change. So you starting a business, if I'd said, I just want to earn X amount, I'll be absolutely over the moon, I can't wait. You hit that and it's then, okay, what's next? What's next? So a lot of people say, I want to start a business because I want the lifestyle, but I've worked with a lot of people that have actually gone on to grow really big businesses that have taken over their lives, because nobody ever just wants to stop.
No, and like it's like chasing the sun, isn't it? Where we do stalls now and again, and we did a really big one it was like the Rogue Invitational competition in Scotland, and we were there, and it was really cool. We were like such small fry compared to like, it was just mad. It was funny. And none of the other owners were there of the businesses, and they had like, and our 3x3 pitch was like, I guess it was like £5,000 or something just for the pitch, and they had like 10 times that, which $30,000 just for the stall, and they went there, and I was like, I wonder if I was like, I hope I never get there, and I was like, it was really a turning point in my business, and this was only like last November. I was like, I want to descale. So for the last 6 months, I've tried. Or however many months, I've tried to descale it rather than like growth and blah blah blah. I'm like, I want to work less.
And it's doing less, but doing more of what you want to do.
Yeah, and as well, I don't work weekends anymore, and because of that, I work hard on Monday to Friday, but not even that much harder than I was.
No, I think if you actually put a little bit of boundaries and cut-off, if I said to someone, okay, I'm now changing your working hours from 9 to 5 to 9 to 1 or 9 to 12, they'd still get the same amount of work done.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you need deadlines.
I
That's where the
definitely need
accountability
deadlines.
comes in with what I do, and this is why I value coaching, because I need accountability.
Yeah.
I'm a terrible procrastinator at times, unless I've got someone telling me, right, Andrew, you said you're going to do this. So I obviously then do that for my clients, but I can get so much done on a deadline. I used to, when like in uni and stuff, I would leave like all of my work until like 2 days before it needed to be in.
Yeah.
And then I just pull all-nighters and get through it. And it'd be done. But I'm the same in business. Like
I was exactly the same. If I had one class to teach today, I wouldn't have done it by now. But if I had one class or 10 classes to teach tomorrow, I probably would have done them by midday, because I have to do them.
Yeah.
And if I don't start now, I won't get it done. I need that pressure.
Yeah.
Whereas it annoys me, because I'm like, I could just do my one class at 8 a.m. and be done for the day, and I would never do it.
I know.
I just never do it, and it is annoying. But it's also, I think what people forget is like, and I forgot like the last couple of years, is like, we do it because we enjoy it. We really believe in our project, but you got to. So I'm a massive fan of Nike, as you probably know. And at the end of his book, like, you know, he's been through like loads of ups and downs of building the business. And he's like, I wish I kind of enjoyed the journey. And it really stuck with me of like, yeah, okay. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, in a way of, so I work with a printing company who print the clothes and embroider my clothes. And I'm so chilled with them. They are sometimes useless in a way of deadlines. So they'll say, I'll get it to you by Monday.
Yeah.
And I used to be so annoyed. Every time I used to be so annoyed. I'd be like on the phone. And then I was like, I just don't want to be stressed because of this. It's just, I guess it's just part of the business. Like, it'll come when it comes, blah, blah, blah. Which then I had to almost tell my customers, like, I'm really sorry it's delayed. And that was the part I was annoyed at them for.
Yeah.
You're making my business look bad, blah, blah, blah. So the more relaxed I became, it was weird, but either that I just didn't think about it as much, so it kind of came on time, or that actually I asked them to manage my expectations better. That I said to them, look, I don't want to be annoyed with you guys, because it's not doing me good, it's not doing our relationship any good. If you don't think it's going to come by Monday, just tell me Friday. If it comes Tuesday, great. Like, that's better for me. It's better for you guys. And they started doing that, and our working relationship's a lot better, you know, and even how I feel about it.
I think I think you've touched upon probably one of the hardest things in business is, how do you enjoy the journey?
Yeah.
But also being ambitious.
Yeah.
And it's really like, I struggle with it, but it's been able to turn your mind into, I talked about it before on a podcast, a bit of gratitude.
Yeah.
In terms of what you've got, what you've built, the community you have, the clients you get to work with. I think that's really important, and recognising the positives. Like, I know I don't enjoy the journey when I'm constantly looking at what I'm not doing. When I'm looking at, all right, Andrew, you've done this, 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 and this, then I'm starting to be like, okay, I'm making progress now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the biggest risk.
Well, how do you make sure you enjoy it then? Just by looking at.
How do I make sure that I enjoy it? By not being stressed, so having good habits outside of the business.
Yeah.
Like, I remember my first week in business, I went to the gym at like 11 a.m. on one of the weeks. Yeah. And I was like, I've made it. I literally felt like I'd made it in life, because I'd been in the bank and I was working all hours, and there was I had so little control. So I think it's genuinely appreciating the little things that you can do in self-employment, the flexibility you get. I think that helps me enjoy it, and recognising positives more. So I've got like a bit of a planner now where I go through all the good that's happened, and I do it with my clients at the start of the coaching sessions. Yeah. So I go into a coaching session, right, give me an update over the past month, and it's like all the negatives, and I'm like, right, hang on. Okay, great, I've made a note of all of that, but what's going well? Because otherwise you turn into a bit of a cycle. And I realised, like, I'd have it with clients I worked in a startup, but I've worked with businesses before, £1 million plus easy turnover companies, and they're in exactly the same situation of that neg. So I was like, money doesn't fix it.
It doesn't solve it. And as well,
No.
I think it's like, for me, it's being laid back enough that you can like sit back a bit, but also work really hard. And it's really hard because my advice is always like, chill out a bit, like, your life is now, go and enjoy it. And then I'm like, but I do work really hard. So it's really hard to, and especially when, that's why I hate, like, probably the wrong podcast, but I hate giving business advice because I'm like, I don't know what works for other people, because I've been to business talks, and I think the only two things I've taken from business talks is like, people that succeed really believe in what they're selling. They really believe in their product. So you can't fake that. And then they've got a lot of self-belief.
They're quite self-aware as well, though.
Yeah.
So they know what works for them.
Yeah.
And they know how to go about it.
And I think as well, they know when something's not working. So I don't care about quitting stuff. Like, if something's not working for me, and my biggest thing is if I'm not enjoying it anymore, that's not a part of my business anymore.
Great.
So I used to do these in-person classes. I used to work for Bristol Bears and Bath Rugby, and it's great. It's a really good job. Yeah. And I was like, I just don't want to do this. And it was not like I didn't have the time or anything like that. I just thought, I think...
That's a gut decision, though.
Yeah.
So, when you get that gut feeling of... So I think a lot of stress is caused by not taking action on decisions you need to be making. So you knew, I've got to make a decision with this.
Yeah.
I think the times where I've been most unhappy with the business, potentially, is where I know what I need to be doing, but I've just got to pull the trigger and make that decision. And when you do, you feel better for it. Yeah,
but your logic, or like that part of your body that isn't like maybe as confident. Because I was like, well, I'm just giving up money. Is this just money? I've got the time to do it.
Short-term loss, long-term gain.
I don't even think
about
it.
That's the way I look at it.
I know.
If I'm happier, if I've got more energy, another opportunity will come up somewhere else, and it'll be more aligned to what I want to do.
And then people are like, you can use those hours to do something else. I was like, I'm going to go to the cinema.
And think about work. Alex, I'm sure we could sit here all day and talk about the mindset around business and the things that you've learned so far. Just to sort of recap everything that we've talked about, is there a quote or anything in your life or a bit of advice that you live by or that really resonates with you?
It's not cheesy, but it's that one where it's like, what if I fall? Oh, but my darling, what if you fly? And I've always been, what if I fly? Like, because I thought
it was going to be a Batman quote then, when he's like, oh, why do we fall, Bruce? I was like, oh, that's a top one. That's the best one, yeah.
And I think I've always thought that in a way of, like, what's the worst that can happen? Okay, you gotta take that into consideration if it's tragic. But a lot of the time, the worst case scenario is you're coming back to actually where you are right now. So look at the best case scenario as well, and that's what a lot of people don't do. That
is very, very true. I remember just finishing on that. I nearly turned down probably the best job I ever could have had because I didn't feel like I was ready. And then I basically spoke to a family friend, a really positive, energetic person. And she's like, what's the worst that happens? Yeah. Just, take the job, you don't enjoy it, just do something else. And I was like, why do I not think like that more often? I know.
And you have to, and I think it's like, start now and then make it good. Just like get it out there, and then especially self-employment. Yeah. I remember like my business is so different to how it started, and not because I was like, right, if I knew it was gonna, I think I just started. I was like, I'm just gonna put something out on Instagram. I've started the business, brilliant. Then things start falling into place. Then you'll maybe try something, doesn't work, try something else, blah blah blah. But that's business. It's trying, it's failing, it's like something pushing you into a different direction. You're thinking, oh, actually, don't enjoy this. I'm going to do this instead. And that's actually business. It's like this. It's like takes you to different places.
Yeah, but just start and you'll learn as you go along. Yeah. Oh. You're not expected to have all the answers in the first week of running the business.
No, and I would be careful who you take advice off as well. Because if they don't align, so like, saying about even your target audience. Yeah. You've got to align to them, but like, if people you're taking advice on don't align
don't
with
understand them,
then it will have more damage, and it's, I don't think one necessarily plan works for everyone.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Alex, thank you so much for your time. It's been amazing, and I'm sure we'll have to do this again in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much.